Okay, I'm 8 minutes, sorry. I won't, so I mean, it was the case. And at the time to go into this, we had Exim Bank behind us, and we had our major bankers behind us. And so one of the things that we want to tell you is this. Whatever you do, you need to engage with people like Matrade. You need to engage with MITI because they have the access to any export countries that you want to go to. So when you want to go, so this is what it is. Now there are a few points I want to list out just to mention the last minute that you have to do for you to be able to go further. First, for you to be able to export, you must recognize your own expertise and capabilities. You also have to identify the country of interest that you want to target your product. Before you do anything further, conduct an in-depth study of the country because cultures, laws, and are very, very different, can be very different from ours. Do not think that our laws is the same anywhere in the world. Every country has its own laws and its own culture. If you don't understand that, you will find yourself getting into trouble. We have gotten into trouble before. I mean, we have come up with some of them okay, we have come up with some of them not so okay. But this is part of growth and part of export. So once you're in there, you have to do an in-depth study. The question you need to ask yourself is, do you have the manpower to go into the country? Have you got the financial strength? If you haven't got the financial strength, what do you do? Can you talk to the financial institution, people like Exim Bank, SMEs, maybe your bankers? What's your commitment? Do you have the endurance to go? Because going overseas is not a visit or two visits. It is a lot of stamina that's required for anyone to go and export something. There is a lot of requirement. So, also, whatever you want to export, have you got a product and the expertise and the track record? Track record are important. If you don't have the track record, you will find it very difficult to penetrate. Have you got the certifications? Certifications, besides Syrians, you have to get international certifications from people like BV, ABS, Lloyds. Have you got ISO for you to be able to export your product? So these are all the requirements you need to get before you can go, because if you go before you get this, you might suddenly waste a lot of money. One other thing I always say, be mindful of what our government is doing. Be mindful of what people like Matrade, MIDA, SME Corps have to support you when you move. I mean, a lot of people here I listen today are in businesses that are quite different from us, and I think they have been they have done very, very well. But I think partly also because they might have been supported or they might have done it on their own initiative. But if you don't have them, go to MIDA, go to Matrade, they will be able to link you up with someone. So, trade missions are important. Follow them because they're your first step. And once you reach there, try and get in touch with the embassies of Malaysia to investigate your counterpart over there before you start moving in, because they can lead you astray. Well, gentlemen, I'm 12 minutes, so just a bit of my experience, our experience that we have, and there's a lot more I can talk about, but 10 minutes is not enough. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mac. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much. Thank you to Matrade for inviting me. I'm from the company called Ani Monster, but we are rebranding it to only Monster right now. We are the owner and the creator of Boy Boy, but part of my history, I used to work as executive director in Let's Park Production, as you know, Upin and Ipin. And also I was the co-founder of Let's Park Production. But in 2009, I left the company and started a new company called Ani Monster. And we produce basically a super kit. At that time, it's very important in business at that time. We feel that if we want to compete with our own product, with Upin and Ipin, it's very strong. And not only that, we have to compete with Upin and Ipin, we need to compete with the like of, like Iron Man, Spider-Man, Transformers and whatnot. So we researched first, what is the best animation that we can produce. So we found this one very niche opportunity, Super Kid. At that time, the only popular Super Kid was Ben 10. Still popular today, but I think at that time, we try what Super Kid, and we don't want to make like superhero yang adult, like Ultraman, like Superman, Batman, and we want Boy to be like a normal kid, that pergi sekolah, kena marah dengan cikgu, tengah lawan raksasa, kena lawan dengan, kena siap kerja rumah. So this is the idea of behind Boy. And Boy ada tiga kan, Boy. So actually dia split tiga, so satu nama satu boy. It doesn't make sense. So that's why kita drop it, but remain the name, Boy. And today, we're in 45 countries. Latest Kazakhstan, we're getting to China. Japan, we have partners actually dengan Tommy. If you know Tommy, actually the one that originally buat Transformers. They also pegang license Pokemon, Disney characters, and we also just met with Bandai. Because animation is very, very difficult. It's a new industry, one thing. Second thing is that to make money, you have to go into toy market, basically. Basically, the show become popular, and then you need to monetize through toys, basically. So this is quite new for us and for the industry as well. Sorry, tak nampak slide. Never mind. Basically, this is actually it's supposed to be a white background, but I don't know why. But basically, 45 countries, we go through Matrade, we go through MDAC to actually penetrate the 45 countries. But recently, we recognize this. This is a global world. Everyone has internet right now, mainly. So we decided in 2014, why not we put our content in YouTube first? And this is the reaction of the fans. Paling tepi sekali, they're very happy. The broadcaster was very stunned with our move because we have Disney Channel, we have MNC TV, we have TV3, so they said why did you put the first episode? Why can't you wait until we air it and then you only put on YouTube? But for us, it's very important. It's one thing. It's not about the broadcaster. It's about the fans. You need to go to the fans first. So whatever we do, we go to the fans first, and then we don't want to be tied up with schedule, basically. So every Sunday or every Saturday is good. But nowadays, people, you have Astro, you have YouTube, now you have Netflix, iFlix. So the best thing is to put it first, to use our own marketing tool. And then for our clients, we work with Petronas, we work with 7-Eleven, we work with Indomie right now. We work with Choki, Prodwa, so a lot of big brands, they want the brand to always be there. So how can you guarantee if only the show is only once a week? So when we put in YouTube, so right now we have about 1 million to 1.7 million viewers per day. So that's huge for us. It's huge for our customers as well, clients. And when we put it to YouTube, we thought it's going to be secondary, not going to be good as the broadcaster. But right now, if we put in, for example, in Malaysia, we can easily got top 3 in the list. And in Malaysia, we got number 1. And then in the world Twitter, there's only one time, hopefully we'll be more. We got the number 1 hashtag Boy in the world. It's not like in South Asia, in the world at that time. Okay, move on. So one of the things, export, we talk about export, right? We always talk about export, not bring money, export a brand and whatnot. But for us, it's more than that. We export our culture. We export our language. If you can read over there, I'm a Filipino, but I can speak Malay a little. I learned Malay from Boy. I always watch it in Malay version. So you see, when we put in YouTube first, kita tak ada masa nak buat sub. So we don't even have time buat dub at that time. So we put it in Bahasa first. So the fans of Boy, there are millions in numbers around this region. So they actually watch the Malay version first. So to be able to understand, they actually learn about Bahasa. This actually is not new. That's how my partners, I have partners, Ki Yong Pin, the Chinese. He learned Japanese from cartoon, anime. Watching Doraemon, Dragon Ball, One Piece. So it's quite amazing for me. I watch a lot of anime as well, but I cannot pick up the language. And we are expanding our products basically. Of course, we have Boy. We are currently ada 49 episodes in 45 countries. But of course, the demand is really high, so we need to cater to the demand. One of the demand is the fans really want us to create a movie. So we have Bawa Boy the movie, 3rd March in Malaysia, and 13 April dekat Indonesia. And then we are also talking to enter Vietnam, Thailand, and also Cambodia. So our mindset is very simple. We don't want to be, animation is a global thing, but for us, it's very important to focus satu persatu lah, we call baby steps. First besarkan Malaysia, and then we go to this region, and then go to Middle East. And then for me, ASEAN is it's a high potential market, 620 juta people live here, If you go to the European market, it's okay. US market is also very good, tapi this is untapped market. We don't have our own local hero. Part of why Upin Bawa Boy so successful because we don't have our own local hero. I'm very proud to say my kids, your kids membesar dengan Bawa Boy. Like 10 years ago, siapa you punya hero? Ultraman. Siapa you punya hero? Ultraman. Batman, Superman, But now our kids can cakap Bawa Boy. We want to create more hero after this. And to expand also, this is not our theme park, but we are part of a theme park called Maps Perak. It's around dekat Merujaya. If you go balik utara, it's on the right side. So you can see, it's called Maps Perak. So the Asia's first animation theme park. Bawa Boy is part of that theme park. It's like the main entrance. We have 4D Adventure over there. We have what we call Bawa Boy Hero Academy. So your kids, dengan maybe yourself sekali, boleh berlakon sekali dengan Bawa Boy, and then they boleh keluar macam you are part of Bawa Boy show lah basically. And then we also have Tok Abah Kopitiam over there, the real Tok Abah Kopitiam. So whoever yang pernah tengok Bawa Boy always lepak kat kedai Tok Abah. So we actually build the real Tok Abah Kopitiam, but you have to pay lah. And to go there. And probably ada cokodok, coklat or whatnot, biskut Yaya as well, I don't know. They're working on it. So this is going to be open mid of this year, and we actually be part of like DreamWorks animation, for example like The Croods, Mr. Peabody and Sherman. We have Smurf, Casper, and Megamind. So, but this is the first phase. There are 3 peringkat, so hopefully we can get more internationality over there. I guess that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nizam. Now we go to Mr. Vladimir Samboski. He's from Food Panda Malaysia. He's different because he's going to give the perspective of someone from outside who has come here from Ukraine. He's come here, and how he has achieved success in Malaysia and the challenges he has faced and all that. Okay, over to you, Vladimir. It's all yours.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for everybody who's still here. For your attention. I am, I think, quite an unusual speaker here because I'm not from Malaysia. So I'm here to speak of how it is to be exported, basically, because I am from Ukraine, far away country from here, and it just happened so that I have the right experience to manage Food Panda Malaysia. But I would like to speak first of all about Food Panda, or even before that, I would like to probably connect the idea, why am I speaking here? First of all, I see that knowledge of Food Panda can inspire you in a way. It is a service business, it is an online business, it is an IT business, and Food Panda is operating in more than 40 countries today. And it's just tremendous to see how we all manage it all together. It's more than 50 nationalities involved, and how our global CEO puts it, we think we're dealing with it better than United Nations. So business is something which can really unite people together around. So what is Food Panda, first of all? Well, I like to see ourselves the service company. Well, how it was originally implemented and was thought of. First of all, it's a tool for customers to easily find the restaurant and food they want very close by. So wherever you're located, you go to Food Panda MY website, or you can download the app, for example. You put in the information where you're located, and it shows you the restaurants that are located next to you. You choose your cuisine you like, you see the restaurants, choose the meals that you want, see the pricing, confirm the payment, and it gets delivered to you. So in a way, it's a blue ocean found, it's IT solutions trying to combine the need of a customer and the needs of restaurants. So restaurants need and want customers, they want marketing, and customers need some very convenient tool to do so. So Foodpanda is doing it. Headquarters of Foodpanda are in Berlin, though Foodpanda is not operating in Germany itself. So it's a very interesting situation, and maybe I'll just share you how it works, so maybe you might have some ideas of your own. So the process of it is, as I said, the business process looks pretty much like this. So first you get hungry, you go on the app or the website, put in the information you need. The rider goes to the restaurant, gets the food for you, and brings it to your door. Very convenient. The IT technology is built from Berlin, so it's all centralized, which helps a lot to spread out into different and other countries. Other countries, of course, have their own situations. It's all very specific, and this is why it's very interesting. Example of an expert. For example, the complex, the business model that I described just now, it's more like a marketplace. So basically all you need is a website. You need people who are contacting the restaurants. You build out this database, you digitalize the menus, and then you deal with online marketing to get the customers to the websites to order. What you do then is you pass the order to the restaurant, and the restaurant delivers the food. That was the case in a lot of countries, but for example in Malaysia, when we entered here, it appeared that most of the restaurants, nearly all of the restaurants, they don't deliver food. Or if they do, for example, they could be very late, like hour and a half, 2 hours, etc. And we still will get blamed for that, because if the person orders from Foodpanda, it won't go into too many details, okay, who did the platform and who was delivering. If the client is unhappy, he's going to be unhappy with all the process. So we had to take the responsibility of this part, and so Foodpanda became very much also a delivery company, except for just a marketplace. So in some countries it is very special. For example, like in Indonesia, we had an issue because they don't have the indexes for their houses. So it was very hard to put exact location where you're located when you're on a website. So we had to create our own database, almost like duplicating the function of indexes for Indonesia in Jakarta. Expansion, again, this going abroad and exporting, of course, gives a tremendous growth opportunity, especially if your fixed costs of development are centralized and, as I said, fixed. If, for example, you're an IT business, if your platform, you do the platform centralized, then the further you go with the customers, the faster you grow. So for an IT business, it can be a tremendous opportunity for growth. Another function is we are an online business, and I do want to emphasize it separately that going online today is a must-have. I actually would like to say that if you're not online, you don't exist. And the further we go, the more the business is going to shift into there. People want to find you, especially if you go abroad. There are a lot of different specialities to how the local market is governed, but be sure that online is the way to go. It is somewhere you will be found, and otherwise you won't be found. I'd like to talk just a little more about it before saying bye. I hope to answer more on the question side. But I would like to share some very specific things I've seen in Foodpanda in regards of sharing knowledge. Because when you do services businesses in a few countries, in a lot of countries, one of the biggest struggles is to keep this knowledge spread out with all of your team. So we, for example, we do weekly knowledge calls on different topics, either sales or operations, because you can imagine we are like in almost 50 countries, and plus the global Berlin team, which is helping out in business operations. So we pick some topic, because each country has some specific situations, but of course there are some core business processes that need to spread out. So sharing across the globe the operational benchmarks, sharing across the globe the best practices is a must-have for international business and services. Having a crew of business development people in Berlin who are not in any specific country, but travel regularly abroad to each market, and implementing those best practices is also a tremendous help. So if you're thinking about a service business, which is going to be located in a few countries, having this business development team as a like holder of expertise helps tremendously. Of course, there are specifics in each country. For example, legal and finance is something which you, of course, need to find local people to help you govern. So working in an international environment is also very interesting, and Food Panda is one of those examples when it's tremendously done. Of course, you have to hold in mind always the different national specifics. For example, in Malaysia, here, I guess because it's also hot, we can relax, and a meeting time of plus minus 40 minutes is totally okay. When, for example, you don't want to try it in Germany, trust me. I mean, like, people might not want to do business with you. So these little things of how things work, how team works together, and what do people expect? How do they expect to be treated? Better find out before you actually go and start doing business with. Something that I would for sure look for local people to do is, as I said already, legal and finance makes total sense, because legal and finance are usually a little specific, and you want the person who has good expertise in the local market. Sales people, we have sales in each country. Again, business processes, establishment, you can bring from abroad, but the people on the field going in communication, I would look for local people. It's obvious, right? They speak the language, they know the specifics. Sometimes they can have that approach which you might never think of. But in general, I think Malaysia has a great asset for experts, and I would call that tolerance. Because there are a lot of studies that tolerance and business growth have the biggest correlation there is. I mean, you're lucky enough to be in a country where you have a tremendous mixture of cultures, religion, and you learn how to deal with that, how to be tolerant to each other and use the best of it. And I think this is the strongest asset you have to bring either your services or products abroad. So thank you very much, and I have this little treat if possible. It's a code, so if you do want to try us out, it's going to give you an extra discount of 10 ringgit. Please use it, find out how we work, and I do wish you to come up with great ideas, solving some new solutions with either AT or existing businesses, and to go out there in the world and make Malaysia famous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vladimir. So now come to the mic, or you can write your questions. The free ticket questions I already asked Nizam already, so he's already answered that. Any questions? Quite long at the day and everybody's very tired. No, one question I would like to ask Nizam is, how did you penetrate the export markets? How did you go to the export markets and do that?
Basically, we usually follow MDAC and also Matrade to go into this market. And every year, you have this market, for example, in Singapore, ATF, Asia Television Forum. You can sell your content over there. You can go to MIPCOM in France, MIPTV in France as well, and there are some in US. So it depends on which country. So usually, Matrade, MDAC, they have this program to go there. So you have to tag along with them. But basically, you have to have a good product, and you need to be ready. The government are really there to help you. So usually we go into this market, introduced by them, and then we have this long-term relationship. We sell a series. If the series is performing really well, and then you spread the words to other stations.
Thank you, Nizam. Questions, please? Anybody? Feel free to ask. Or viewpoints, opinions, criticism against the government because they're not giving enough funding or not funding, not giving enough quick funding and all that. If there are no questions, maybe I'll wrap up. Basically, it has been a very good session because we learned a lot from today about the experiences that they shared with us. And I think some of the things that I can take from here and present it to the Ministry of Finance and the central bank is that, yes, you have all the funding agencies and all that, but some of the exporters are telling that you're not doing it fast enough. And it's not coming at the right time when they really need it, so we can get it from the horse's mouth, the reaction to these issues and all that. Branding is very, very important, as you have seen the hijab and all that. And I think what Mr. Uy said was, you have to try and try and try again. You must not fail. Even you fail the first time, you have to get up and try again. And then you need to network. That's so much important. And I tell you that it's a lot easier these days to get information to the internet and make full use of it compared to our entrepreneurs who were doing it like 20 years ago and all they had was maybe MITI and the Trade Commissioner and the embassies and all that. So now there's a lot of information for you to go. And then, although this morning, as I said, that a lot of concerns were cast on the economy, but I think that you as entrepreneurs and potential exporters, you will bring the good news to the economy because at the end of the day, it's the exporters who are important in increasing the revenue of the country and increasing our exports and all that. I don't know whether the lower ringgit will actually make our exports cheaper, but I think it will to a certain extent if we exploit it that well. But of course, you always have the argument that costs are more expensive at the same time. So the bottom line is, I said, don't give up. Mr. Du is a perfect example, Mac is an example, Nizam, Adi, and Vladimir, and people who said here earlier. So on that note, I'd like to thank each and every one of you all and the panel for their in-depth experiences and all that. And over to you, Pon Ainul.
And our next speaker is Mr. Oi Siong Hua, Director of Tian Siong Senam Berhad. Mr. P. Kandia, Founder and Director from CAS International Senam Berhad. Mr. Adi Faiz Adnan, Head of Business Development from Strand Aerospace Malaysia, Senam Berhad. Mr. Mac Ngan Boon, Co-Founder and Managing Director from Hibah Engineering, Senam Berhad. Mr. Nizam Abdul Razak, Founder and Managing Director from Animal Staff Unit Studios, Senam Berhad. And lastly, Mr. Vladimir Samborski, Managing Director from Food Panda, Malaysia. A big round of applause to our moderator. Thank you, Madam Sisla Devi, and to all guests. Could we go to the center stage to take the group photo?
I think the event has been very successful. I think what you are trying to do is to get the Malaysians entrepreneurs to be more broad-minded towards looking at a broader earning base. I mean, this is exactly what we did way back in 1995. And a lot of the Malaysian companies need to think beyond the comfort zone. I think what you have done is just exactly that.
So you definitely think that this type of event is very relevant current times with the current economic challenges and all that. So we need to do more awareness program. What do you think of that?
I think you have to do it because people are now finding it very difficult to just maintain their own market here.
And what do you think the biggest concern among Malaysian SMEs, especially when it comes to export?
Home recognition first. I think the biggest issue is their product has to be recognized in the home base. If they have a recognition, then they have a standard that they can go. So that's the main thing. So we found in the industry that half the time our products find hard to get an acceptance, whether it's through GLCs or through government agencies. I find that if they can give more support like some of the foreign countries do, then they have a product to sell offshore.
And lastly, can you share a few words for Matrade, any well wishes?
Well, I would like to wish Matrade well, and I would like to thank Matrade for all they have done. I think they have done a lot over the time that we have known them, and I think you should continue doing what you're doing. It's a good job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
My name is Vladimir Samborsky, and I'm managing director of Food Panda Malaysia. And I was invited here to speak, to be an example of how is it to be exported, because Food Panda is operating in more than 40 countries, and we have a grand expertise of managing teams, very international teams in a lot of countries, and tackling very regional and local problems globally.
So what do you think of today's event?
To be honest, being not from here originally, I am tremendously happy to see how the government of Malaysia is actually providing access advisory and has these different governmental companies who I really hear are benefiting people. And these events that might be by far, you can't see direct return investments out of this, but this is really investing into people, entrepreneurs and business, and I'm very happy to see that.
So for you yourself, do you learn anything valuable today?
Well, I've learned about the local businesses going with experts, with services and products, and surely I've met very interesting people, and I do hope to keep in touch because it inspires, even me, and I do hope that this will also inspire local people to do more business.
Nama saya Ui Siong Hua, saya anak Kelantan, orang Malaysia. Syarikat saya Tien Siong Sdn Bhd. Barang produk saya adalah sarang burung Malaysia dan ekspor China, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Taiwan, US, semua sudah pergi. Jadi produk sekarang kita kena ada bernama punya produk, bukan hantar raw material saja. Kena packing seal yang sesuai, yang cantik, yang bersih, berhalal dan mesti.
So apa pendapat Mr. Ui tentang acara hari ini?
Hari ini banyak baik. Tarikan yang sepatutnya yang ini kalau boleh. Memang dia tiap-tiap tahun buat, tapi banyak lagi orang tak tahu. Banyak lagi usaha yang kecil-kecil tak berani nak datang sini lagi sebab dia nampak barang ekspor. Dia dengar barang ekspor sudah takut sebab barang ekspor ni dia international. International dia takut apa barang? Dia tak cukup barang. Bukan nak pergi makan angin. Bukan betul-betul pergi ekspor. Yang pergi ekspor sana dia timbul masalah apa tak? Tak ada barang. Kalau super sarang burung saya nak ekspor ke China 100 kilo. Saya ingat banyak. Sampai ke China dia nak stun. Jam. Itu Malaysia saya rasa hari ini banyak baik. Ini trend sudah nampak yang industri yang urusan yang kecil-kecil kita sepatut berkumpul. Matrade pun ada niat untuk berkumpulkan industri yang kecil. Kita kumpulkan sekali ke luar negara untuk ekspor dan guna bajet yang kecil. Ramai company yang dapat pergi. Jangan 10 company, 20. Pergi 100. Tapi booth kita berkongsi. Cara saya itu je.
Jadi apa nasihat Mr. Ui untuk syarikat yang mungkin takut untuk ekspor kan? So, apa nasihat Mr. Ui untuk diorang ambil langkah pertama tu?
Okey, kalau boleh yang takut nak pergi, yang tak pandai nak pergi, dengar saja. tak betul-betul datang ke tempat meeting Matrade sini, you tak tahu. Kalau beranilah datang, tanya, bukakan mulut dan mata sendiri, tanya dan tengok sendiri adakah susah. Kalau tak susah, masuk daftar dengan Matrade. Kalau susah, jangan pergi. Barang free, tak ada charge, tak ada consultant fees. Kenapa takut nak datang? Hari ini Mr. Uy mari cakap pun tak ambil consultant fees. Barang free. Tapi cuma you tak datang, you tak ada free. Itu saja.
Okay, maybe ucapan untuk Matrade dan pengalaman bekerja dengan Matrade. Mungkin komen Mr. Uy?
Yes, bila-bila masa. Sebab memang saya suka tolong